Welcome everyone to the 2015 Auto Club 400 at Auto Club Racers here. So today we're going to talk about today's race at Auto Club. We're here, and we're also well, fine, not we're also, but I'm also going to be giving my predictions on next week's race at Martinsville, which will be on Fox Sports 1. So remember that Fox Sports 1, not Fox. And actually, speaking of that, next week's race will actually be the first NASCAR race ever on Fox Sports 1 that was purposely made to go on Fox Sports 1. The reason why I say purposely made was because if you remember last year's spring race at Bristol, where there was like a rain delay, they had to switch from Fox to Fox Sports 1 because of the way TV shows were being aired that day. So that's why I say purposely Fox Sports 1. But anyway, I'll get to Martinsville a little later today. But first, let's talk about this race here. But by beginning with the pre-race notes here. So I think probably one of the biggest news headlines before the weekend even started and before practice started was the fact that NASCAR decided to make a few qualifying changes here. So if you watched qualifying sessions before today under the new qualifying that was founded last year, drivers would begin the round with the nose of their cars facing pit road, and since you're facing pit road, they would back out and then enter onto the racetrack. And I guess NASCAR along, and I'm assuming a lot of like other drivers and fans thought that was kind of getting a little too chaotic and could result in cars getting damaged. So what NASCAR did was that instead of having the nose face the wall, they actually had the nose face away from the wall on the opposite side. So basically the way the cars would roll off is like the same way the cars would roll up after firing the engines. And also the other notable change was that now between the rounds, two men are now allowed over the wall. So that's another change. Right here, and then skip all the way to Friday morning right here. Breaking news: Brian Vickers sidelined once again right here. Once again after noticing even more blood clots over here, and because of that, Brett Moffitt, who actually drove the 55 back at Atlanta and got a top 10 finish, scoring 8th, he was called into for that car, and to replace Brett Moffitt, Chris Buescher made his Sprint Cup Series debut in the number 34 Ford for Front Row Motorsports right here, and I guess if you want to hear my thoughts on Vickers having a recurring blood clot, well, when I first heard that news on Friday morning, I actually looked up what causes recurring blood clots, and through what I can remember looking at, apparently blood clots can either be caused by genetics or it can be caused by diseases, and also blood clots are also they tend to be more common in men than in women. So that's just like interesting news that I picked up soon after hearing Vickers say this, and then I don't have this in my notes, but I do remember hearing on NASCAR race day that Vickers is going to be on medication for 3 months. Thus mean that Vickers will be out of the car for the next 3 months. So yeah, so the list of drivers sitting out kind of gets a little bigger, and so does the list of replacement drivers now. But I do hope for Vickers to get speedy recovery and get back in the car soon. We're here. Let's see, and now let's move on to the sessions during the weekend before the race. Kurt Busch pretty much just dominated everything. He won all 3 practices and even got the pole. And a lot of us saw how last week at Phoenix he had a very strong car too. And some say that the reason why Kurt Busch was able to come back from a 3-race suspension and perform like he did at Phoenix, and then he would eventually today at Auto Club. What some could say because he's driving on the same team that Harvick won the championship last year. But I also feel like someone would say that the decision late last year to have Tony Gibson be his crew chief was also a good combination as well. But at this point, I'm definitely rooting for Kurt Busch. So I'll just say that right here. And of course, they also wouldn't be pre-race news without what would you say? And also it wouldn't be pre-race news without talking about how the surface is at Auto Club Speedway. Auto Club Speedway is the oldest asphalt surface. It's not the oldest surface in NASCAR that would go through Dover, but because Dover is a concrete track, that's why I say oldest asphalt surface right here. So it's the oldest asphalt surface, and it hasn't actually been repaved since 1997. So the surface at the track is actually as old as the track itself right here. And also the last note that I took here before the race started was the fact of how I feel like compared to like Phoenix or Las Vegas or Atlanta, just like races like Daytona and Talladega, I feel like a handful of drivers can win, and it's not going to be that clear on who is going to win. And the past 2 races, they've been very intense. Thinking back to like 2013, where we had Hamlin versus Logano here, and Kyle Busch won that race. And Kyle Busch won that race on a last lap pass, and then Kyle Busch did the same thing again on the last lap pass here. And Kyle Larson almost got the win last year as well, coming in close second to Kyle Busch. So many fans, or I'm assuming that many fans were pretty excited about this race. Anyway, that's pretty much all I have for the race. Now let's get into what happened during the race. The front row was Kurt Busch and Kevin Harvick, and early on they were off to a very dominant start here with Kurt Busch leading the opening like 5 laps, and then Kevin Harvick took the lead on lap number 6 right here. And throughout the majority of the race, I would say pretty much up until the very end. Well, actually not until the very end. I'll just go back to what I was saying about throughout the entire race. The 40 and the 41 were able to stay together. I don't think there were too many moments of where it was like the 4 or the 41 was like losing a lot of ground between each other. They were pretty much at like equal distance from each other. Yeah. Or just simply they were able to just kind of like keep up with each other. That's a better way to put it. Let's see here, but it wasn't too long. It wasn't too long after Harvick took the lead that we would have our first caution right here. But David Ragan actually got air loose from Jeff Gordon, and apparently the reason why Jeff Gordon got really close to David Ragan was because Jeff Gordon was apparently upset at David Ragan for decisions Ragan made to Gordon a couple laps earlier. So that was kind of payback right here. And now eventually kind of ruined Reagan's day after starting 4 right here. And I was kind of disappointed to see, Reagan's day not improve after spinning, because I felt like he had a good top 10 car going up until that spin. Anyway, as it turned the page now. And then on lap 24 here we had pit stops. And after this first pit stop, we saw something that we would see about, I think, 2 more times here, and Albie Mackins of winning the race off pit road. He had the very first pit stop all the way towards turn number 4, and I felt like that kind of gave him an advantage, because by the time that he left, most of the other drivers were coming down in here, and also just simply Kurt Busch and Kevin Harvick were just simply like struggling on pit road throughout the majority of the pit stops, green or caution. And then we had a restart here on lap 28 of Mackins and Savellini, but then a couple laps later, Hamlin was able to take the lead away from Kevin on lap 32, and then he would actually be able to hold her here. And then around lap 45, 46, we saw we started to see some surprising top 10 cars here. So does Brian Scott here, and at one point in the race, he was actually, I want to say he was actually in 8th place, which definitely shocked me. But at the same time, it didn't shock me because the thing is, he had a very good car during the Xfinity race here, and I think he got top 5 in that race. So yeah, and if it, and I think many fans will agree with me that I think anytime you see someone like Brian Scott on like a local team and everything be able to race well inside the top 10 like superstar cup drivers, you definitely want to root for him, and I was definitely rooting for Brian Scott, but unfortunately at the end of the race he would just kind of slip outside the top 15 and then never ever make noise again. But I'll have to see where he finishes when I get to where I want to finish here. But anyway, lap 61 here, we had our first cycle of green flag pit stops right here. And then after that, Hamilton was able to maintain his lead. And at one point, he had a 3-second lead over Kevin Hart right here. And I think I think one thing we saw in like the first like 2/3 of the race was just simply of how everyone was like equally spaced out, and there just simply was not a lot of passing happening during long green flag runs right here. But then caution number 2 came out on lap 86 for debris, and I actually think, I think about like out of the like 7 cautions we had, like I want to say like six of them were actually because of debris. And then we had pit stops right there where Kenson was once again able to win the race off pit road right here. And then we had a restart right here. And for the first time, we saw the Haas teammates of Kurt Busch and Kevin Harvick actually be able to keep pull back into here and actually almost pass him. I actually think Kurt Busch did. Yes, he did. He was able to pass back into here on lap 96. Then we had a third caution to that player on lap 98 right here. And I think this was actually our only crash caution. It was when Sam Horst Jr. here slipped the racetrack, and Charbin was already there, causing both drivers to go up to the wall. Sam Horst Jr. getting significant damage, and Sam Horst Jr. would, I believe, finish dead last with like 46 laps down or something like that. And then we have steps again right here. And then the lap 99 pit stops is where we started to see our first would be a few strategies made, such as for example, everyone came down the road, but Martin Truex Jr. and Tony Stewart took 2 cars here. And on the restart right here, while it didn't work too well for Stewart, it worked kind of well for Martin Truex Jr. here. But nevertheless, both drivers were able to maintain top 15 positions right here throughout the rest of the race. And I think both of them thank that decision for allowing them to get, I guess, solid finishes right here. But after the restart, Harvick was looking to pass the 41, which the 41 was able to immediately pass Martin Truex Jr. for the lead. Harvick was looking to pass him, but he wasn't quite able to do it. And then we had green flag pit stops once again here on lap 137. And then we had Harvick retake the lead here on lap 144 right here. And while we didn't really see very much of it at all, it did kind of look like that. There were a couple times in the race of where it looked like that if we had a longer green flag run, we could have seen the 41 in 4 swap positions like every other lap. It seemed like that's how the race looked like to me. And then we have a 4th caution right here on lap number 154 for debris. And then we have pit stops right here, and then 20 was able to win again. And then also during these pit stops is when we saw probably one of the most major, I would probably say the second major pit road penalty right here, and it was for Joey Logano being penalized for uncontrolled tires right here. And it seems like uncontrolled tires has kind of been like a pit road theme this year. I even remember during the Las Vegas race, Darrell Waltrip saying something like, of how he's never seen so many uncontrolled tires before. And I have to agree with him. I don't really remember too many uncontrolled tires in like the last few years here. So it's kind of strange, but maybe the reason why I didn't hear that was because NASCAR at the time did not have the pit road technology that I did today. And if you remember at the beginning of the year, it said that the new pit road technology of all the cameras was able to identify penalties 10 times more often than any penalty tracking system in the previous years. Right here. So maybe last year Logano wouldn't have been penalized, but because of the new technology, he was penalized. So right here, and then we have restart here on lap 159 right here, 41 more laps to go. And this is where we started to see some new contenders in here, such as Brad Keselowski, Dale Earnhardt Jr. right here, and Jimmy Johnson right here, all around or inside the top five right here, and then around lap 170, it actually looked like that Brad Keselowski was actually going to take the lead away from Kansas, but then he fell back right here, and around this time there was talk about like all these drivers going to be able to make it on fuel right here, and because that we saw drivers like Keselowski and Jimmy Johnson and Jr. actually drop back several seconds, probably because they were saving fuel right here. But then saving fuel would not need to be an issue anymore because lap 185 caution number 5 for debris pit stops right here, but this wouldn't be the final pit stops of the day, and then but then during these pit stops, we probably had our biggest heartbreaker during the race. Matt Kenseth breaks his axle right here, and entering the pits, he was the leader right here. He breaks his axle, and then I think he finished around like 28th position right here. And I want to say one lap down right here. So and definitely felt extremely bad for Kenseth because it looked like that he could have easily had won the thing. And also during the pit stops, for the first time today, Kevin Hart was actually able to win the race off pit road. And then also, and speaking of Matt Kenseth, his teammate Dan Hamlin was also penalized for uncontrolled tire, and this happened to be a little bit more controversial than Logano's. Despite his uncontrolled tire being more noticeable than Logano's right here, and if you remember, Hamlin's crew and crew chief sort of kind of arguing with their officials about that, and I think the reason why they're arguing was just because they hadn't seen the video yet of the tire getting away from them, and I kind of feel like in some ways into this race, I wouldn't say that maybe uncontrolled tire is maybe like maybe not exactly the best word choice. I would say maybe unmonitored tire here because the thing is, in both Logano and Hamlin's cases, the tires were actually inside the pit box. However, for one of the crew members' jobs is to actually roll the tire back to the pit wall, and for both teams, they didn't do that here, and I think that's why these penalties were more controversial than the penalties in the past 2 weeks. Anyway, I had to get bigger wire right there. But then, so after that sort of a crazy dramatic sets of pit road events are here, we have a restart here on lap 190 right here. 10 laps to go at the time, and we saw right here Brad Keselowski and Kevin Hart sort of kind of switch positions twice. But on the restart, Kurt Busch was actually able to grab the lead away from Harvick right here, and that's why Harvick and Brad Keselowski were like swapping for second. But then 1 lap later here on lap 193, Harvick was actually battling for Kurt here, but Kurt would actually be able to actually pull away from Harvick right here. But okay, fine. Let me say that a little bit more better to actually tell you what really happened. Lap 193, Harvick was gaining Kurt Busch. Then on lap 195, Harvick was losing the Busch. Then lap 197, he was able to regain his distance from Kurt Busch right here. But then on lap 198, he lost it again. So a lot of gaining and losing going on during those like last few laps, or what was supposed to be the last few laps right here. And the reason why I say what was supposed to be the last few laps was because lap 199, caution number 6 for debris right here. And I feel like this happened, and to some NASCAR fans, this happened to be the most controversial caution of the day, just simply because I think so, there were some fans. There's some fans. I think there are some fans on the internet, or not on the internet, just simply complaining of how NASCAR didn't really ever show if there was actually debris on the track. And so in that case, and I guess in that case, if you were like a Kurt Busch or like a Harvick fan, okay, fine, maybe. And I guess if you're like a Kurt Busch fan or like supporter or like rooting for him, you would have been upset that NASCAR threw a caution and didn't show any proof for the reason of the caution. But when I saw that, you know, and when I saw that like controversy, I felt like that there wasn't too much. I don't see too much of a reason to complain and be like NASCAR didn't show any proof, mainly because really ever since like day one of like NASCAR broadcasting, they haven't shown proof for every single debris, caution, or even spin, you know, or not spin, or even like crashes, you know. So, and I have like in some ways you don't need proof for every single cause and effect kind of situation in sports. That's just my opinion on it right here. But anyway, after the controversial caution here, surprisingly, or I guess to me it was a surprise, we actually had pit stops here on lap 200, and this caution would also force us to go into a green white checker here. But these pit stops were very interesting here because the thing is, everyone came down the road except Gordon, Stewart, and Biffle right here. The 3 of those drivers stayed out right here. And during the pit stops, while drivers like Harvick and Busch took 4 tires, drivers like Keselowski, who was running close to the top 5 around the time, took 4 tires over here, and eventually just decided the racer here. Because the thing is, lap 2 or 3, grew on check attempt number 1 right here, came out here, and very quickly, Stewart, Gordon, and Biffle all lost their positions here. I wouldn't say all lost. I would say Gordon was actually able to keep his position pretty nicely. He was able to stay inside the top 5. Stewart and Biffle were kind of like the losers of it all, especially Biffle right here. And unfortunately, because Biffle's car was so bad all day, his car was very slow. It was holding traffic here. And then what happened was that exiting turn number 2, when him and Kyle Larson got together, it caused Kyle Larson's car to go up the racetrack here, and it caused David Ragan to actually, to actually sort of first lose it, but then also tear off the rear sheet metal with the nose of his car here, and so that brought out a caution here, which meant that we would now have a second attempt of rewind check here. Right here. And if we just fast forward over that, lap 200, and here, green light checker attempt number 2 right here. Kurt Busch and Harvick were able to quickly get out to lead right here, but then sort of out of nowhere, entering the back straightaway, we saw Keselowski actually pass Harvick for second right here and catching Busch. And then right here, coming to the white flag right here, Kurt Busch, Keselowski, Harvick, 1, 2, 3 right here. But just as Kurt Busch took the white flag right here, we saw Greg Biffle actually spin in the trial over here. However, NASCAR did did not decide to throw caution, which I applaud NASCAR for doing that, for letting them race back, here, but then entering turns, number 1, 2, while all the cameras were focused on Greg Biffle's car spinning. Here we saw Rakuzeski here making a last lap pass right here for Kurt Busch here, and Kurt Busch was able to clear Rakuzeski was able to clear Kurt Busch here on the back straightaway. Here, so Rakuzeski has the lead, and the reason why for that was because Kurt Busch took 2 tires, Rakuzeski took 4 tires, and then made all the difference here. And turns 3 and 4 here, Kurt Busch makes a huge dive bomb right there, but it doesn't work right here. He was not able to get Rakuzeski here, which would actually cause him to finish 3rd right here. And coming out turn number 4 here, Rakuzeski wins the race. Kevin Harvick finishes 2nd here, and because he finished 2nd, he has now made it 8 straight top 2 finishes here. Very impressive, and if Harvick could get 3 more, which I find very unlikely based on the tracks we are going to, Harvick will have tied the all-time leader for most consecutive second-place finishes, which was Richard Petty. I want to say back in 1975, I believe it was here. But if it was one record that Harvick has eaten is most consecutive top 2 finishes to start off the season, number 5. So that's like one good record. Harvick can look at. But anyway, NFL Harvick here. Rakuzeski wins the race, thus him clinching a spot in the chase right here. So now both Penske cars are in the chase because Logano won the 500 as well. And speaking of sort of like records and everything, all 43 cars lead lap or several laps down, they were all able to actually cross the start finish line here, and that was making this race the first time all 43 cars have been on the check and finish since 2013 at the Brickyard. So that's just kind of an interesting fact right here. Anyway, I gotta get a drink of water. I was talking a lot. Anyway, I want to make sure that I'm still okay. Good. But anyway, now let's go over where everyone finished here. Rakuzeski first, Harvick 2nd, Kurt Busch 3rd, Menard 4th, Ryan Newman 5th here. Impressive runs for Menard and Newman here. Junior 6th, Logano 7th, Truex Jr. 8th, Johnson 9th, Gordon 10th, Eric Almirola 11th, Justin Allgaier 12th, 13th Edwards, 14th Stewart, 15th Stenhouse, 16th Austin Dillon, Kane 17th, Reagan 18th, Patrick 19th, Chris Buescher in his debut race finished 20th. Nice, good finish for him. Rory 21st, Chris Moffitt 22nd, Casey Moose 23rd, Cole Wade 24th, Lane Castle 25th. 26th was Larson, 27th was Brian Scott, 28th was Danny Hamlin, 29th was Jarrett Bain, 30th was Clint Boyer, 31st Brian Kenseth, 32nd Greg Biffle, Bowen number finished number 33, Allmendinger in the 47th finished 43rd, the 38th Gillen finished 35th, 36th went to Josh Wise, 37th went to J.D. Yeley, 38th went to Michael Nett, 39th Jeff Burden, 40th Mike Bliss, 41st Brendan Gaughan, 42nd Matt DiBenedetto, and 43rd dead last Sam Horst Jr. right here. So that's where everyone finished right here. And I gotta say, I don't know if I said this at the beginning, but I gotta say, I think if you were to ask me, if you were to ask me, what out of the first 5 races this year, which race was your favorite? I really enjoyed this race. I think this race is the best race we've seen so far this season, and I'm just kind of curious to see, in my opinion, what race is going to top this race right here. And I gotta say, I feel like more so than like the past 2 years, Auto Club lived up to its previous race's expectations for how intense and exciting this race will get. I was definitely very happy to see it all unfold live right here. But anyway, if you go down to the description right now, I typed I, I typed it. I typed something that said like how there are some underdog drivers are now currently inside the top 20 in points here, and let me just say all the drivers. Paul Bernard 9th, Eric Almirola 10th, AJ Allmendinger 11th, Casey Mears 12th, Aaron Reagan 15th right here, and you have Austin Dillon 19th right here. Now I know these positions aren't like inside the top five, but I gotta say after five races to see drivers like Bernard, Almirola, Allmendinger, Mears here all inside the top 12, that's just simply amazing right here. And I do feel like and I seriously do feel like more so than like previous years we actually have we do have a lot more chase contenders right here, or just simply in other words, we have several more drivers that actually have a good chance to actually get inside the chase right here. Four spots have already been taken right here, and just like last year, because there weren't 16 different winners last year, there were at least 2 spots filled in by points. It might actually not be that bad of a thing to actually be a driver like Casey Mears, who's 12 in points, because you still can get it based on points. And since 16 drivers or 16 different drivers winning the first 26 races, I find to be very unlikely. I think there's possibly a good shot for drivers like Casey Mears, Allmendinger, Eric, and Menard to actually get in based on points. If they can continue to have solid finishes and even improve on their finishes that they've had so far. So, so those are just some of the drivers who I'm like rooting for at this rate right here. But anyway, now let's move on to Martinsville right here. Martinsville, the shortest track on the oval. I actually just found out about like a couple hours before I did this live stream that Martinsville was the shortest track. For some reason, despite being a NASCAR fan since 2007, before today I thought all these years Bristol was actually the shortest track, but I just searched. But I just found out today that I was actually wrong all these years. But the thing is, I wasn't that far off right here because the thing is, Bristol is 0.523, Martinsville is 0.526 right here. So there's not very much of a difference between here. And Martinsville, the shortest track, but it's also the oldest track right here. We're definitely going to see a lot of beating and definitely aggressiveness right here. But I also think in some ways we're also going to see quite a bit of strategy right here. If you remember last year's October race, Dillon Jr., I want to say took 4 tires right here on lap 194, and even though 494, yeah, I think I said that right. He took 4 tires on lap 494, and even though there were 6 laps left, those 4 tires helped him pass Tony Stewart to win the race, or I think it was Tony Stewart. I might have to look it up, but I think it was. So it just shows of how big strategy might play into who wins the race, or how strategy can actually help you win the race. And will we see surprises at Martinsville like we saw today with such as like drivers like Brad Keselowski winning the race, and even have drivers like Menard and Newman finishing 4th and 5th. I think we could see surprises in Martinsville, but however, I feel like Martinsville is just kind of a more predictable track than All Club in my opinion, but who knows? NASCAR, anything can happen here. And if you look at the drivers that have average finishes, active drivers that is, Johnson has the best average finisher here, and it's a 6.23. And actually not too far behind him is actually Jeff Warner here with a 6.84. Both drivers have 8 wins right here. Hamlin is 3rd with 8.27 right here, and those are the only two drivers that actually have an average finish at Martinsville that is less than 10th place right here. When you look back right here, Cliff Boyer 12.06, Dale Jr. 12.43, Tony Stewart 13.58, Joe Logano 14, Matt Kenseth 14.70, Ryan Newman 15.04, Brett Keselowski 15.2.0, Kyle Busch 15.65, Carl Lloyd 15.90, and Kevin Harvick 16.44 right here. So those are just some of the top active drivers that have the best average finishes at Martinsville. And I think based on that, I think and also what makes Martinsville a little different this time around is that I feel like there are two things that make Martinsville different this time around. One, I don't know if you heard about this or not, but the thing is, apparently this year Martinsville is going to introduce a new. I don't think it's like a new type of hot dog, but just a new brand of where the hot dogs come from right here. And then also, defending Xfinity Series champion Chase Elliott is going to make a Sprint Cup Series debut. He's actually going to be the fifth driver on 100 Motorsports, meaning that Chase Elliott is going to have Johnson, Gordon, Jr., and Kane as teammates over here. So it'll be very interesting to see how Chase Elliott does in his debut next week at Martinsville. And I gotta say, Martinsville is not the easiest track for rookies. I think historically, in my opinion. But anyway, that's pretty much all I really got to say right here. I hope you enjoyed this race review right here, and I hope that you will continue to watch maybe even previous race reviews that I've done in the past, or even or future ones in the future, because I will keep on doing that. Thank you for watching. Be sure to rate, comment, subscribe, and bye.